so, and at the retreat, I was learning how to speak and use a water bottle instead of my hands, and so I give you, you need you. See that? That's what I'm doing. See, if I do that, you can be going. Okay, all right. So, right, get water sprayed on you. Right now. Some hand movements are fine. Okay? As long as they're down here. It's like, how are we doing? But doing this, which I tend to do, not so good. All right. But I did want to tell you a great sort of experience that I had, and all of you have heard that Atlanta had snow. Big snow. I mean, it was only a couple inches of snow, but it was snow and then freezing cold for a couple of days. And so literally they don't own any they don't own any salt. So the roads were literally ice rinks. We have no idea up here what it would be like if we didn't have salt, because it snows and the roads are wet. But down there it snows and the roads are like ice skating rinks. So it shut down the city. But one of the elements of this workshop that I was in was you had to go upscale your wardrobe at Nordstrom's, and I have never shopped at Nordstrom's. As you can see, I am a Banana Republic kind of guy. 50% off Banana Republic kind of guy. And so when we left the hotel, it was just lightly snowing. But we didn't realize that lightly snowing for us was like a blizzard for them. We got on the highway, and we have everybody on this bus, and we only had to go one exit. Okay? We got on the highway, and 3.5 hours later, we got to the mall, which was closed. But luckily, this was a very expensive program I was in, and they had paid ahead for the stores to be open, so both the coiffing and Nordstrom's stayed open just for us. But that was a lot of fun. But what the story really, what really was amazing for me was, I was thinking, when I went down there, I was thinking, here's my class. I haven't done this. I mean, I haven't been where you are in 15 years. And I'm like, this is my class. And I noticed that for 2 days, of course, they don't do any small group bonding, no healing work, nothing. I mean, we're sitting in there getting pounded to death for whether we're standing right or talking right or writing right or thinking right or, and I was sitting in the seat, and it was clear that we were not going to go anywhere. And I thought to myself, I was like, I could sit here and just talk to this one person that I'm sitting next to. Or I could make this an amazing opportunity to connect with these people and start changing the energy of the group. And so I just went, and I would consistently just trade places with another person, another person, another person, another person. And that bus trip bonded the group. Not just me. I mean, I wasn't the only one doing this. But the effort that it takes to make a friend is sometimes just getting over the inertia, over the tendency to just say, well, not this time. Maybe I'll get it, maybe tomorrow. But what happened was that started some camaraderie, a few people really having more fun, yucking it up, enjoying, and then the people that were sort of hiding started coming out of the shadows. So I tell you that story just because this is what we're doing here, except we do it this is one of our main focuses, okay? And so if you're still in the shadows a little bit, and occasionally it's like, well, they're doing stuff I'm not so sure, take a chance. Because amazingly, everybody in this room needs friends. And everybody in here is a great friend. You all have the capacity to be an unbelievable friend. The heart in each one of you is incredible. You need to be in relationship to find out about it. Okay? So, and I noticed that you're all doing unbelievably well with this. So I'm not saying you're doing a bad job. You guys are amazing. This group is bonding beautifully. I couldn't be any more thrilled with how people are coming together. I just wanted to tell you that occasionally, it happens to me too. Okay, so this weekend is Heart Chakra Weekend, and I'm sure you've got all sorts of heart issues up because heart issues are about your family, about your friends, about your relationships, and or lack thereof. And when heart chakra comes along, your heart is going to long for intimacy and closeness and love and sharing. So the heart is where we come into self-reflective consciousness. As we work through the lower three chakras, we're dealing with basically just me. And my body, my feelings, me. And when we come up into the fourth chakra, and it's sort of this from the third chakra down, you're just an animal. You're just a lizard. You are functioning, getting your needs met, and you may be in relationship with others like alligators are, but sometimes they eat them. And sometimes they don't. It's just like that's my friend until I eat him. And that's what the lower three chakras are about. And if you don't think you have that, you need to get really serious about what we're doing here, and you do. When you get up, and the level of consciousness is totally present moment in the lower three chakras, just like an animal. It's just what's happening now. Okay, what's happening in my body now? What do I feel now? What do I need now? And what am I going to do now, based on now? When we get up to the fourth chakra, we start into actual consciousness as we talk about it in the spirit world. So I'm trying to be very conscious of what I'm doing with my hands. The speaking coach went all the way to say, "I'm going to cut your arms off." So anyway, so it's and I told him I'm going to speak all weekend this weekend, and I'm going to practice. Okay, I'll practice all weekend. So self-reflective consciousness is when it's when the part of you that's your soul can reflect upon the part of you that's the animal. Okay, so we have this ability, and it just begins at the heart. Of course, you get more and more self-reflective as we move up to the upper chakras. But the heart is where you can look back upon your actions, back upon yourself, back on your life, and sort of make sort of an understanding of it. Or if the heart's closed, you can say that was wrong. Heart's open, you look back at your life, you look back at your actions, you look at your actions 5 minutes ago and you say, that's okay, that was the way life was right then. It taught me a lot. And when it's closed, you can look back, but you only look back with a judgment. That shouldn't have happened. That was bad. I was bad. They were bad. And the heart stays closed when it uses its self-reflective consciousness that way. So the heart is the beginning of when your heart opens up. It's usually when you go to therapy. It's when you take a healing for the first time. It's when you start taking care of yourself a little bit. When you're willing to sort of say, oh, there's a me in here that needs to be taken care of. Up until that point, it was just sort of like my needs in the present moment. There's sort of like an overall. There's a party that wants to know yourself, know this deeper part of yourself, rather than just be a worker. We're also going to be covering why people don't heal. And we'll be doing Woundology both tonight and on Sunday morning. It's just such a huge thing. And I totally steal this from Carolyn Mace. I don't think anybody has come up with a better description of why we blame and complain and why that is so important not to do. Spiritually, we're going to be talking about this. If you want to complain, you can't be on your spiritual path. It's not even part of the spiritual path to want to complain or reject. It just doesn't work that way. But wounds sort of give you that right. They're like this cool thing that ego gets a hold of, like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to be on my spiritual path, but this gives me the right not to be. So we'll talk about that, and then I'm going to be giving you a handout from You Can Heal Your Life, which I know you did, and you did your timeline on that. How many of you found that the timeline was pretty cool? And isn't it amazing that when you look at what was happening in your life and when you had illnesses, the traumas and then the subsequent illness that you had were those illnesses were very symbolic of what was going on in your life. And as a healer, you have to get that. When your client comes in and they've got a certain illness, you just have to make that leap that, well, we know that this is about this. Let's find out where that is in their body. And oftentimes people say, well, that's not happening to me at all. Was it happening to their parents at the same age? Did they get programmed as a child that this illness I'm going to take just like my parents did because of the trauma that they were taking that I absorbed as a child? We honor our parents that way. You watched your parents really carefully throughout your life. And to honor them, often you'll even take the same illnesses. And as a conscious healer, you want to realize that you can break that. That's just a vow. And you can break that, but you have to be very conscious that that reaction, that body reaction, is very, very real. We'll be doing the enlightenment charts, and which you've been working on diligently, I'm sure. And by the way, the enlightenment charts, Lisa's going to talk about them tomorrow, and just understanding that this is just what you're doing this year is just the tip of the iceberg on these things. We're also going to be putting archetypes in there and all sorts of lower self and higher self qualities and things. This chart becomes something that nobody else is as crazy as I am. Nobody else will ever ask you to do this. And when you're done with your chart, if you do this 3 years and you're done with your chart after 3 years, you will know more about why you do what you do and what you're capable of in your life than anyone else out there. If you know, even if you just did 2 chakras on the chart all the way through, you would really understand why you make the choices you make and what your guidance is and why you have these energies in you. So I just want you to just keep in mind that I think, Lisa, we gave them the new charts last time? You got a new chart last week. Okay, yeah, okay. The healing this weekend is the heart spiral, which is just to die for. I'm not even going to go into that. We'll have fun with that. The profile this weekend is the Rule Keeper. So you read about the Rule Keeper. Do you understand why it's on 4th chakra weekend? It could be chakra 6 and 7, right? Easily. Or 3rd chakra, for that matter. Because it definitely does a lot of both things. Super action-oriented, super thinking, super thinker and doer and organizer and open to big picture things, right? But we teach it in the 4th chakra because, first of all, we don't want to put the charismatic leader in there. That would be hard for everybody. No, not charismatic leaders have big hearts. They do. But no, they're not. The charismatic leader's not wounded in the heart. The charismatic leader's wounded in the 5th chakra, because that's what they have to do. The knowledgeable achiever is wounded in the heart chakra. They're just a picture. Knowledgeable achievers. They're the Tin Man. What was the Tin Man looking for? His heart. The Tin Man always needs a heart. So the knowledgeable achiever is the one who's constantly looking for their heart because they have such a thick wall over theirs. So it's important to see that the knowledgeable achiever, we teach it in this because it's when the knowledgeable achiever opens their heart, they show that they actually have the most tender hearts. You'd think, oh no, that's got to be the emotional intelligence specialist. But they don't. The emotional intelligence specialists are actually the ones with the lion hearts. They're the ones with the hearts that can ultimately handle all hurt, all loss, all depth of pain, because that's what they're here to deal with. They're here to feel everything and not be afraid. So their hearts are huge. Whereas the knowledgeable achiever hides their heart because it's so delicate and gentle. So we'll be working with that this weekend. And then we'll be talking about the summer retreat, as well as testimonials for the school. I know a number of you did them last week. each weekend, it's great if you have something that comes up for you and you want to get it on video. We'll be using these to promote the school, but also it'll be nice when when you get to the third year to have sort of a montage of everybody's, sort of like what they were going through at that point. And when you do one, you don't have to say, well, I love the Reese Thomas School. It's just say, it dawned on me that I kind of like these idiots. It doesn't have to be anything more than just a realization for you. It doesn't have to be a sales pitch or anything. But if you find that you realize, oh, I figured out my profile finally, or something happened, or Heart Chakra Weekend, this is my weekend, or Heart Chakra Weekend, this is not my weekend. All of those things can be true. All right. So I think that's it for the check-in. Any questions on what we're going to do this week?